Life can shatter us in an instant, but it's in those broken pieces that we find our true strength. This is the story of Emma Carter, a woman who lost everything in a single moment: her body, her love, and her trust. When a devastating accident left her paralyzed, her husband abandoned her, thinking her life was over. But Emma refused to be buried by betrayal. Instead, she rose not just to rebuild herself, but to forge an empire from the ashes of her pain. This is a tale of cold revenge served with grace, of a shattered woman who became unbreakable, and of the ultimate proof that the best revenge is a life well lived. Let us know where you are watching from and what time you found this video. We read every single comment and subscribe for more inspiring content. There are 5 days. That was all that was required for her spouse to leave the house. It had been 5 days after the accident that had broken her body when he broke her heart. On the other hand, he had no idea that this was not the conclusion of her narrative. The beginning of a vengeance that would be so delicious that it would inspire millions of others was here. The cash register from Emma Carter's little bakery was safely stowed away in her vehicle as she drove home from her place of employment. Roads were slicked with rain, which turned them into reflections of potential disaster. Next, the impact. Darkness, a whirlwind of broken glass, and the shriek of metal, all at the same time. As soon as she opened her eyes 24 hours later, the world had changed. While she was surrounded by machines that beeped, tubes were being inserted into her veins, and the doctor's voice was gloomy. From the waist down, Emma, you are immobilized without movement. Sorry, I'm very sorry. Daniel, her husband, was there. His face was pale, and his hands were trembling very much. She was under the impression that she saw love in his eyes for a brief period. Fear, maybe even devotion. It was her mistake. It had been 5 days since he had seen her in the hospital, and his voice was icy and uncaring. Emma, I am unable to do this task. I did not sign up for this life, she said. Suddenly, without any warning, their marriage came to an end. Emma remained in a state of startled silence as he exited the room, leaving his wedding ring on the bedside table as if it were a receipt that had been thrown away. It was a flurry of weeping, fury, and stifling loneliness that filled the nights that followed when it happened. I don't understand how he could leave her when she needed him the most. How was it possible for the guy who had vowed to be with her, in sickness and in health, to abandon her with illness pounding on the door? It wasn't simply her immobilized body that held her captive. It was also the crushing weight of treachery that held her captive. Then, on a night when she was unable to sleep, something inside her exploded. In no way a defeat. The flames, she dabbed her eyes with a tissue and said to the darkness, "If he thinks I'm broken, I'll show him what broken can become." In no way was Emma's retribution petty. Screaming bouts and public humiliation were not among the topics at hand. It was a wonderful idea. In spite of him, she would reconstruct herself. She would not do so for him. Emma, who was confined to a wheelchair, decided to participate in rehabilitation. She worked out nonstop, focusing on strengthening her upper body and becoming more proficient in her new world. If my legs won't work, my arms will carry me. Prior to the disaster, she was the proprietor of a little bakery. What now? She established it as a thriving enterprise. It was via social media that she revealed her experience in its unvarnished, unadulterated form. Her tenacity caught the attention of all around her. Orders began to come in. Investors made contact with us. In a span of only 1 year, Emma's Rise Bakery became a phenomenon on a national scale. In the meanwhile, Daniel had moved on as swiftly as possible, boasting about his new girlfriend on social media and acting as if his past had never experienced anything. In the days leading up to Emma's revelation, it was unnecessary for her to assault him. Her success was uncomplicated. Interview that went viral. This memoir is a bestseller. On the topic of overcoming betrayal, a TED Talk, The world adored her, and it felt sorry for him. A number of years later, Daniel, who was also going through a difficult time, came out to me. "I am sorry, Emma, but I made a mistake. Sorry, I'm very sorry." She smiled, but it was not one of resentment, but rather of triumph. "Thank you," she expressed her gratitude. "Without your betrayal, I wouldn't have become who I am today." And with that, she hung up, she said, moving away on her wheelchair that had been specially made for her, like a queen on her throne. There are times when vengeance does not include devastation. On occasion, it is about ascending to such a height that people who attempted to bury you are forced to look up in order to see your light. Emma did not just exact her vengeance. It was impossible to stop her. As for that, the sweetness of it surpasses any apologies. The narrative of Emma Carter did not come to an end with her accomplishment. Rather, it erupted into something even more significant. Over the course of her bakery empire's expansion, Emma came to the realization that the world was not designed for individuals like her. The sidewalks were too small, the buildings did not have ramps, and there were not many chances for handicapped people to start their own businesses. Therefore, she made the decision to alter the system. Through the establishment of the nonprofit organization, Rise Up Accessibility, she collaborated with municipalities to reimagine public areas. Scholarships for students with disabilities were supported by her, and she established microloans for companies that were able to adapt. In a short amount of time, politicians began to seek her counsel. As all was going on, Daniel's life was going downhill. His second marriage ended in failure when his new wife found out that he had abandoned his previous wife, who was disabled, and attempted to conceal the fact. It was a disaster for his reputation. After that, he saw that Emma was featured on the cover of Forbes. Because of this, he committed his most significant error. In his lawsuit against Emma, Daniel claimed that her biography, Broken Vows, had slandered him. In addition to a public apology, he requested millions of dollars in damages. The media went absolutely crazy. The reaction from Emma? It's only one tweet. "Dear Daniel, I will see you in court. Prepare some popcorn." There were a lot of people in the courtroom. In their argument, Daniel's attorneys claimed that Emma had vilified him. Thereafter, Emma's legal team played the hospital recordings, which were voicemails from Daniel in which he adamantly told her that he couldn't handle her medical condition. The expressions on the faces of the jurors were telling. The court decided to throw out the case. Still, Emma was not finished. For mental suffering, she filed a countersuit, and she prevailed. Both her legal bills and a donation to her charitable organization were ordered to be paid by Daniel. A humiliation of the highest order? In the tabloids, his visage was shown prominently with the headline, "The Coward Who Tried to Break a Queen and Failed." After a number of years, Emma was able to collect a Time 100 award while standing on a worldwide platform. "They told me that I was totally broken," she stated. On the other hand, shattered objects may still contain brightness. And if you bring enough light into the room, everyone on the planet will be able to see. One individual sat in the shadows and saw the excitement of the throng as it yelled. To Daniel, embarrassment was deeply engraved on his features. But what about Emma? Never once did she turn around. With the passage of 5 years after the trial, Emma Carter had not only achieved success, but had become untouchable. Her bakery business had grown to include Rise Up cafes throughout the country, each of which was totally staffed by individuals with disabilities and included adaptable design that was so faultless that it became the standard in the industry. In 12 different nations, her nonprofit organization has updated accessibility legislation. Even rumors circulated that she would consider running for political office in the future. Is that Daniel? This man was a ghost. That is, until he managed to crawl back. At midnight, there was a knock at the door of her penthouse. There was no flinch from Emma, who had become an expert in her wheelchair. She had been alerted by her security staff that Daniel had been skulking about outside of her events for many months. The door was opened by her. The formerly lovely grin he had lost was replaced by one of despair as he stood there, looking haggard and with shadows under his eyes. "It was Emma," he mumbled. "I need your help," she chuckled to herself. "It's funny. There was a time when I need yours as well." All of Daniel's possessions had been seized by his second ex-wife. It was a cruel twist of fate that he was diagnosed with a degenerative neurological condition, in addition to being banned and destitute. It was in a broken voice that he stated, "I'm losing control of my legs. The doctors say it'll only get worse." Emma remained mute as she observed him. Then she grinned at me. "Come in." She poured him a drink, which was his preferred whiskey, which was 18 years old, a little act of charity. She said, "Here is the deal we have. I will cover the cost of your therapies. The best doctors and the most cutting-edge treatments, everything I never had before." The sparkle appeared in Daniel's eyes. You do that?" "Yes." She leaned in closer to me. "But in return, you'll work for me." What is Emma's most recent endeavor? Second Chances, a rehabilitation facility for formerly incarcerated individuals who are handicapped. Is that Daniel? And he would be the janitor? "You'll clean toilets, mop floors, and listen to the people society threw away," she said to me. "They are climbing, and you will keep this in mind each and every day." Similar to what I accomplished. As pride and guilt fought each other, his face contorted. However, he accepted the offer. A reporter approached Emma some months later and asked, "Why would you help the man who abandoned you?" Her response was a cool one. "Getting revenge is simple. Disgrace is a low-cost option." Is it the real power? It's seeing him come to the realization that he might have been on the same level as me if he had remained. The video quickly gained widespread attention. At the same time as laughter reverberated from a Second Chances graduation celebration, Daniel, who was now confined to a wheelchair himself, cleaned the floor. Through the glass, he caught a glimpse of Emma, joyful and surrounded by individuals whom she had served to elevate, toasting to the future. The two of them looked at each other. One of her glasses was lifted. He averted his gaze.